Diagnonsense, or How I Learnt to Stop Masking and Loathe the System. Written by Chobabovski, narrated by Elvira Skylark. Part 1. Mission Diagnosis. A Vain Hope. In leafy Britain lived Lucy Lawful, a gentle soul armed with too many books on how to be normal, and a folder so thick with personal history it had its own postcode. One fateful day she embarked on a humble quest to seek official recognition of her autism from a highly reputable assessment service. What she got was the Bureau of Bath. Wedged between a crumbling NHS trust and a corporation that whiffed of scented candles and invisible ink, its website boasted shiny acronyms like DISCO and ADOS, the holiest of diagnostic holies. But when Luce arrived, she was met instead with a short questionnaire, its cover emblazoned with a neon sign announcing, "Only to be used on those with 'I'm autistic' tattooed on their foreheads." The Bureau's assessor, Dr. Mask, was a shadowy figure, whose CV had all the diagnostic relevance of a toast rack. He had apparently been trained by watching one PowerPoint presentation entitled "Women with Autism? Surely Not," followed by a tea break. He nodded wisely throughout, then at the end of the session proudly farted and proclaimed, "You can't learn to mask. Autism is a lifelong condition." Reader, it was at this point that even the DSM face-palmed. Naturally, Luce complained. The Bureau of Baths replied in the time-honoured tradition of companies who've done nothing right and don't intend to start now. "Our services are excellent, so you can't have anything to complain about," prompting the ghost of Kafka to turn in his grave at the logic of these bureaucrats. Then Dr. Mask wailed that Luce had described him with a bad word. As if. He didn't conceal from his masters that this phantom horror came to him during his covert surveillance of her, like a Bond villain with Wi-Fi. Yet his masters were apparently so shocked by tales of her behaviour, they reported it to the regulators. Not his pervy antics, not his blundering ineptitude, not his fantastical report, the one where she supposedly boasted of spending her days raving it up in Ibiza while sponging off the state. For months she tried swatting their slithering tentacles, but was no match for their industrial-grade faffery. Part 2. Mission Denied. Attack of the Vexatious Villain. Things escalated. The NHS Custard Commission for Confounding Complaints dismissed her pleas because all governance reviews are postponed until morale improves. She was bemoaned as confusing and distressing, code for woman speaks truth must be stopped. And thus she was, thwarted by an invention of vexatiousness, a word favoured by boiling bureaucrats whenever someone points out their trousers are on fire. You see, the Custards had a shameful secret to protect, their ASD complexity categories document. So secret they denied its existence, along with their contracts, last seen lurking in a locked filing cabinet behind a sign reading, "Beware of the Walrus." Their head of freedom from accountability confidently declared they held no data about their service. A bold claim for the NHS, like running a nuclear plant without a reactor manual. But they seemed happy with whatever Rachel from accounts thought a disco was. Part 3. Mission Whitewash. The Hoe strikes meh. Dazed and indignant, Lucy took her case to the final hope of accountability, the most honourable office of honourable offices, whose name suggested godly justice and perhaps a mahogany desk somewhere. What she got was a customer service simulation stuffed by zombies straining to read a napkin called "That'll do." You see, dear reader, the Hoe didn't so much investigate Lucy's complaint so much as fart in its general direction. Their clinical advisors, chosen one can only imagine for their unemployability anywhere else, were handed nothing more than the Bureau of Bath's chunder records and left to guess what the problem could possibly be. They didn't. So the Hoe granted the Custards twaddle about their perfect governance with nothing more than a yawn. When Loathe complained again, the hosed disassurance officer retorted, "We only review advisors' factual errors, not evidence of our own corruption. What do you take us for?" And so, like all great British scandals, from Windrush to the post office, this too quietly joined the great archive of outcome fine for us.